50 kilometers above the Earth's surface, there is a layer of atmosphere that is charged by the geomagnetic activity of the Sun, called the ionosphere. The ionosphere exists in what is called the D layer of the atmosphere and, being electrically conductive, contains a charge of around 400,000 volts DC in relation to the Earth. The Earth is also conductive and has an equal but opposite charge. The non-conductive area of the atmosphere between those two conductive sources, the ionosphere and the Earth's surface, acts like a dielectric of a planetary-sized capacitor. This is called the Schumann cavity, named after its German discoverer, Dr. W.O. Schumann, in 1952. Within the Schumann cavity is where most of the Earth's terrestrial weather occurs. Lightning, discharges of huge amounts of electromagnetic energy between clouds in the atmosphere and the Earth, or between other clouds, emit massive pulses of electromagnetic energy. There is a near continuous discharge of lightning occurring in the atmosphere, as a spark of lightning is always discharging somewhere in the Earth's atmosphere nearly every second of the 24-hour day. As those electromagnetic pulses circumnavigate the globe, the height of the D region above the Earth's surface allows for resonant or standing waves to become prominent. Resonant standing waves ripple out from the lightning source in harmonics of 4, 8, 14, 20, 26, 33, 39, 45, and 51 Hertz. These frequencies circumnavigate the globe before dissipating after a few seconds. Time is dependent on strength of the lightning strike. The fundamental Schumann resonance has been pinpointed to 7.83 Hertz. Schumann resonant frequencies vary with D region height above the Earth. More solar geomagnetic activity, such as greater sunspot activity or solar flares charging the ionosphere more greatly, force the D region to expand closer to the ground. Since the two conductive areas are closer together, the result is an increase in the Schumann resonant frequency. Less solar geomagnetic activity contracts the D region further away from the ground, thus decreasing the Schumann resonant frequency. The Schumann resonance frequency and intensity varies between the light side and dark side of the Earth. On the daylight side, where there is more geomagnetic activity interacting with the ionosphere, there is greater intensity and a primary resonant wave of 7.83 Hz and its harmonics. On the dark side of the Earth, there is less intensity and expanding of the D region away from the Earth. This expanded Schumann cavity causes resonant frequencies to drop below 4 Hz on the night side of the Earth. These charts show the relative intensity of Schumann waves and geomagnetic activity measured at the surface of the Earth over a 1-month basis. The chart on top represents the intensity of Schumann waves on a day-by-day basis. Notice how the intensity rises and falls as the Earth goes through its daily rotational cycle. The bottom chart measures the intensity of the Sun's geomagnetic activity at the surface of the Earth and correlates with the diurnal rise and fall of the Schumann intensity. In September 2001, Neil Cherry of the Environmental Management and Design Division of Lincoln University in Canterbury, New Zealand, issued a report entitled Schumann Resonances, a plausible biophysical mechanism for the human health effects of solar geomagnetic activity. In his report, he showed how the first 5 Schumann resonant frequencies coincide with the frequency range of the first 4 EEG bands. The primary EEG frequency bands are delta, 0.5 to 4 Hz, theta, 4 to 8 Hz, alpha, 8 to 13 Hz, and 13 to 30 Hz. A key to Professor Cherry's model was the production of melatonin triggered by the pineal gland and the effect of the Schumann resonance has on this process. It was found that the Schumann resonant frequency along with solar geomagnetic activity do affect melatonin production and the overall health of the body. The report shows how increased electromagnetic field exposure significantly suppressed the rate-limiting enzyme in melatonin synthesis during the mid to late dark phase of the night. The effects include altered blood pressure and melatonin production, increased cancer, cardiac and neurological disease, and death. Also correlated with changes in the Schumann resonance and increased solar geomagnetic activity were increased suicide rates, cardiac arrhythmia in children, a significant increase in heart attack incidence and death, a correlation with daily myocardial infarction incidents, sudden cardiovascular death, and increased hospital admissions for cardiovascular disease. The effects of high solar geomagnetic activity have also been shown to increase epileptic seizures, incidence of suicide, an increase in unpleasantness between people, and an increase in aviation accidents due to the adverse effects on memory and attention. The Schumann resonance has been occurring on Earth since the planet had an atmosphere, and life has grown up within it and adapted to its cycle, adopting it into its own biophysical process. However, over the past 60 years, virtually overnight in the grand scheme of history, humans have immersed themselves and all life on Earth in a sea of electromagnetic waves in the form of radio broadcasts, cell phones, and Wi-Fi. These higher intensity frequencies either mask or drown out completely the Schumann resonant waves life relies on for health and well-being. The topic is treated in much greater detail in the documentary video, Resonance: Beings of Frequency, produced by Patient Zero Productions.